Friends, I welcome you to my channel. Before listening to this story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It is not difficult for you, but it is pleasant for me. And we're starting. I'm not going to live like this anymore. I'm done with the lack of respect. Let me go back and explain how I got to this state after 7 years of a good marriage. During her lifetime, my mother worked as a marriage counselor. I once heard her say to a young couple at a premarital counseling session, "Men should love their wives. Women should respect their husbands. That's what the Bible teaches." I'm not too religious, but there's no denying that religion is full of truths to live by. Don't get me wrong. I go to church every Sunday and personally share most Christian values. But I don't go around lecturing and judging others. I prefer to live by the principle of live by yourself and let others live. You do it your way, and I do it my way. Let you and God figure it out for yourself. We are all different. However, I firmly adhere to the principle of an eye for an eye. You take something from me, and I won't rest until I take something from you. And perhaps this something will be something more valuable. Maybe I'm a little more religious than I think I am. Serenity and I have been married for 7 years. As usual, a guy meets a girl in college, falls madly in love, and they can't get enough of each other every spare minute. Serenity and I spent literally every minute together outside of class. We studied together in the evenings, and on weekends we could be hugged at one of the many parties at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Serenity specialized in marketing, and I specialized in construction management. Before graduating from university, Serenity received an excellent job offer in Madison. She was glad to get out into the real world and finally start living for real. I helped her move into a nice apartment near her job a week after our graduation ceremony. The company she joined was a high-tech startup. They needed someone as energetic as Serenity to lead the sales and marketing department. She was gifted. It didn't hurt that the product was easy to sell. Their niche was to simplify payment processing and cut the commission in half, but she knew how to sell. And she had a body that opened doors. I'm sure it had nothing to do with her getting the job. Serenity is dark-skinned, with full hips and a large rounded waist. She is very pretty. Her height is 1.63 meters. Mine is 6'8", with broad shoulders and a runner's body. I like to go for long runs several times a week. It helps to clear your head and stay in shape. Serenity likes yoga/Pilates more. She goes to half-hour classes 3 mornings a week. I'm not complaining because it makes her body strong and she is very flexible. Unlike Serenity, I struggled to find a good job in my specialty. I felt lonely a month later when I started driving from Whitewater to Madison so that we could spend weekends together and decided to follow Serenity to Madison and look for a job there. Our parents hinted that maybe we should get married, and one beautiful autumn evening on a sheer cliff overlooking Lake Wisconsin, I proposed to her. I wanted to have a job to contribute financially before I made an offer, but after discussing everything, we decided not to wait for that. Serenity was overjoyed, planning all the details of the wedding with her mother, but I never felt left out. I told her many times that she could plan everything herself because I knew how important it was to her. But she has said as many times that she wants to hear my opinion out of respect for me. It made me love her even more. When we got married and Serenity was making good money, I didn't feel much pressure to become a breadwinner. Therefore, with her support, I opened my own construction company. It was something I had always dreamed of. Bill Johnson Construction. Bill Johnson is me. I have a degree in construction management, and since the beginning of high school, I have been working on a construction site every summer. So, I already had basic working knowledge in this industry. But back to the present. My company has been steadily developing for 7 years, and now I have 9 people working for me. I make all the estimates, order the materials, and keep the daily accounting. I have a chartered accountant dealing with taxes, finance, etc., as well as an online payroll company that has taken over all this headache. My guys do all the work on the ground. The only thing we don't do is electrical work. I subcontracted them. To get started, I had to borrow $100,000 from my father. I needed a truck, tools, and startup capital. My father's lawyer drew up papers saying that as soon as I pay my father all $100,000, 100% of the property will pass to me, and until then I own nothing. My father was not against making a deal by mutual consent, but I insisted that everything be legally formalized. I also paid my father 5% of the profits every month. He just wanted me to succeed. At first, I took on any job, but over the past couple of years, I have been able to specialize in working for the market. Large jobs that bring in big profits, where there are fewer customers to please. Serenity and I both worked hard and enjoyed our careers. We spent the first couple of years getting settled, but we spent every evening and weekend together. I felt that we had started well. Our income was growing, and we were in love. The family was good, the job was good, everything was good. Serenity and I both came from Christian families, but neither of us had attended church since we left for college. Serenity hinted that it was time to have children, but she wanted to raise our children the way we were raised, having the church as part of their upbringing. Therefore, we visited several churches and began to attend the High Calling Church. Her pastors are Tom and Lisa Tinson. Tom is the head pastor, and although Lisa has no official role, the status of a pastor's wife means that she often participates in worship services and usually sings with a glorification choir. I think Lisa wanted to be more involved, but Tom maintained a relaxed atmosphere. On any given Sunday, about 2,000 people gathered at High Calling. It is the largest church in Madison, and it is steadily growing. Serenity enjoys attending events with the Women's Collective, and she quickly started volunteering to get to know other women better. They quickly became friends with Lisa, the pastor's wife. They organized women's field seminars and held church events together. They soon became best friends outside the church, spending time on the phone and visiting each other. In those moments when Lisa was at our house, I quickly took a dislike to her. She seemed to be oppressed by something. I wouldn't call her a man-hater, but she definitely has that trait. She seems to think that women are superior to men. In several conversations between them that I overheard, she said that if it weren't for women, men wouldn't be able to tell the difference between up and down. She never said that in front of me, but it was still evident in her general attitude. I also heard her quoting the Bible sometimes. And the Lord said, "It is not good for a man to be alone. So let's create an assistant for him, corresponding to him." I think this verse reinforced her attitude towards men. Being such a good friend of Serenity, Lisa put in a good word for me at the construction committee when I participated in the competition for the design/construction of the new church building, High Calling. I think it gave me an advantage over several other applicants. After working for about 6 months and leading the church's construction team during the design phase, I was ready to apply for a building permit. In this regard, I had many meetings with Lisa since she was the head of the construction team. At first, I was beyond criticism. My experience and ideas were welcome. But over time, I realized that Lisa is one person from the podium, but behind the scenes she is just evil. She was not averse to tearing someone apart if they did not follow her instructions to the smallest detail. Even if everything turned out better than Lisa had planned, it was what she said that mattered. It wasn't difficult for her to yell at you in front of the whole group. I was taught to praise in public and criticize in private. Lisa did not adhere to this. More than once she brought women to tears. I witnessed several men blush and leave the meeting after being scolded by Lisa. Over time, she began to treat me, like everyone else, badly. Here are just a few examples of the little things Lisa did that made me hate her. She often interrupted me and wouldn't let me finish my sentence. She disagreed with me many times and tried to tell me how to do my job, even though she has no design or construction experience. She considered herself an expert in everything because she was the boss. As a client, I accepted it and kept my mouth shut. I knew that if I started to contradict, things would only get worse. At one meeting that Lisa was late for, one woman brought chocolate chip cookies to celebrate her birthday. We all ate cookies and chatted while waiting for Lisa to start the meeting. I heard that chocolate chip cookies are Lisa's favorite cookies, so I decided to keep one for her. I wrapped the cookies in a napkin and put them at the head of the table, where Lisa always sat. When Lisa arrived, she sat down at the table and reached in her bag to get a notebook and pen. As she sat down, she noticed a freshly baked cookie and grabbed it. Holding it in her hand, she looked around the room and shouted, "Who put this here?" I raised my hand and smiled, thinking that I had done a good thing. Then Lisa threw a cookie at me, narrowly missing my head, and screamed, "I am observing a week-long fast, and you have the audacity to try to spoil it by tempting me." I sat stunned, blushing with embarrassment. I was too shocked to say anything about her lack of professionalism and open disrespect for me. So he calmly gathered up his papers and left. On the way, I told the group that we would reschedule the meeting when Lisa was in a better mood. When I returned home that evening, I was still upset about the incident and was looking forward to Serenity coming to my side. I guess I needed a little comfort. Instead, Serenity attacked me as soon as she walked through the door. She said that Lisa called and complained to her about how I tried to seduce her to break the fast. Serenity sided with Lisa and told me how rude and insensitive I was. I was shocked by her attitude and tried to explain what had happened from my point of view, but she wasn't listening. She went on to say that her good friend was very embarrassed when I left the meeting, leaving everyone staring at her. I'm wrong, and I have to apologize to Lisa the next time we meet so that everyone understands that I overreacted. Now you understand why I can't stand Lisa. She was disrespectful to me, treated me badly, and my wife always seemed to be on her side. I never apologized, and the next time Lisa and I met, Lisa acted as if the cookie throwing incident had never happened. I didn't bring it up, but I hoped Lisa would feel at least a little ashamed of the way she treated me. In addition, here and there were small jokes, something like, "And how did Serenity let you leave the house like this? And you need to learn how to write your letters read like you stayed in the 3rd grade for the 2nd year." If one of my friends had said it, it would have been funny, but when Lisa said it, it wasn't funny. After the first couple of barbs, I called Lisa out for a conversation. I asked her if she had any problems with me. "Why all these harsh remarks? Did I do something to you?" She replied, "No, you didn't do anything. I have no complaints against you. I'm just expressing my opinion. I decided to treat you the way I treat everyone. You don't deserve to be treated differently than I treat everyone else just because Lisa is my good friend." I said that such an attitude would not bring her friendship, especially with the men I know. She just shrugged and walked on. At one of the men's breakfasts, I had the opportunity to have a short talk with Tom, our head pastor. I was getting a second cup of coffee from the cupboard when Tom came over and did the same. He introduced himself, and we shook hands. Tom said we should get to know each other a little bit, since our wives have become such close friends. So we sat at an empty table for a few minutes and chatted. I found out that Tom and Lisa are both strong alpha personalities. Tom seems to be even more proud than Lisa. I asked how two such strong personalities get along in a marriage. Tom grinned and said that he had to keep Lisa on a short leash, otherwise she would try to run over him and all that stuff. He asked if Serenity was like that, and I explained that Serenity was not like that, but it seemed that something from Lisa was being transmitted to her. Tom giggled again and told me to be careful because Lisa can have such an impact on people. We talked for a few more minutes and then returned to our tables. I quickly decided that I liked Tom's sermon, but we wouldn't hang out together. One day, when I was giving a presentation on the sound insulation we were planning to install in the sanctuary, Lisa interrupted the meeting to tell the whole group that she had seen something better on Instagram than what I had suggested. Then she announced a break in the meeting until we discussed with her what she saw. It doesn't matter that I hired an acoustic engineer and submitted his recommendations. I think she was just trying to get back at me for leaving a cookie-throwing meeting. I think I could handle Lisa on a professional level. Well, clearly distinguish between personal and professional life. But since Serenity and Lisa became very good friends, disrespect began to haunt me at home. Lisa's hatred of men was passed on to my wife. Serenity slowly began to tease me, like Lisa. I told Serenity that she was developing a lack of respect for me, and I didn't like her banter. Serenity just brushed off my feelings, calling them trifles. She said she was just expressing her opinion. I wonder where she heard that. The first serious incident between Serenity and me happened when I was taking a shower. We have a large main bathroom. It has 2 separate dressing tables, a glass shower cabin for 2, a large bathing tub, and a 4.5-meter walk-in closet. I was in the shower when my wife came in, talking to Lisa on FaceTime. As she passed me, she held out her phone and said, "Say hi to Lisa." I quickly turned my back to the phone and tried to cover myself with a washcloth. It was all extremely awkward. Serenity laughed at the way I was hiding behind a small piece of fabric and continued on her way to the wardrobe as if nothing had happened. I heard them giggling, and Lisa asked, "Who was that in the shower?" Serenity replied, "Of course, my husband." To this, Lisa replied, I was just checking. I thought maybe you have some handsome guy. And their giggling turned into loud laughter. When I got out of the shower, I told Serenity how mad I was at her. She showed my client, the pastor's wife, my naked appearance on the air. I explained in colors that it was very disrespectful to me. Serenity just told me that there was nothing wrong with it and that I had to put up with it. She also said that Lisa had been married for many years, so she had seen a naked man before. I said, "But she didn't see me naked. If I did this to you, you'd be very angry." I was even more confused the next time I saw Lisa in church. She grinned and said, "Hey Bill, you look better in clothes," and walked past laughing. At least we were the only ones in the room when it happened. However, I felt my face turn red with embarrassment, and for the next hour, I was beside myself with rage. The next morning, when I told Serenity about what Lisa had told me, she laughed at it again, saying that I shouldn't worry about it. This incident has been bothering me for the last 24 hours, so I exploded. "Serenity, Lisa doesn't respect me at all, and for some reason you think that's okay. Now you're starting to treat me the same way. You guys act like I don't have feelings. If I treated you and Lisa the way you treat me, you wouldn't put up with it. You'd probably put me in jail for harassment or something. I've had enough. Lisa doesn't respect me at work, and now you don't respect me at home. Did you create some kind of disrespect Bill club?" Serenity just waved me off and said, "I don't care, Bill, and what are you going to do about it? We're just joking. Don't worry so much. It's nothing." "Well, it means something to me," I replied, "and if Lisa continues to disrespect me, I can simply terminate the contract with the church. There is a clause in it that allows me to terminate the contract for no reason. It's in every contract I draw up." Serenity just grinned again and said, "Maybe there is, but you will never use it. The contract is too important to you and brings us too much money to terminate it. I would think twice before canceling the contract because of such stupidity." I just looked at her incredulously and asked, "When did you lose respect for me?" Lisa replied, "No, I'm just having fun. Besides, we love each other. Why can't I have some fun with you? And why is respect such a big problem for you? Men don't show respect to me every day. For example, I know when men are looking at me. They look at me, not at my eyes. How do you think I feel about it? I should be respected for my talents and skills. But men think that all women are just objects. If it's not a lack of respect, then I don't know what it is. You need to learn to live with it. Like me. First of all, I don't do that to women," I said. "And if you feel disrespected when men do this, then why do you treat me with the same level of disrespect as yourself? I'm your husband. You have to cover for me. If there's anyone I should feel safe around, it's you. I can't even take a shower anymore without thinking that you'll pass by and decide to show me to the world again. Maybe next time you'll decide to publish it. You don't know, but I've started locking the door when I shower or change clothes." Serenity just giggled and said, "Bill, I'll say it again. You're making a big deal out of a molehill. I would never post a nude photo of you. It would be too much. Lisa and I are just joking. By the way, Lisa and I like to tell our daily stories about Bill. So if I don't pick on you a little bit, what can I share? You need to learn to live with a little disrespect, as you call it. Everyone does that. Listen, Serenity, I like to joke myself, but what you and Lisa are doing doesn't seem funny to me. And if you want to say that you're being deliberately disrespectful, I can tell you right now that I'm not going to put up with this. You're both going to lose me. If you think this is a game, then why don't we just get divorced? Do you want this? At the moment, it seems to me that you both don't care as long as you have each other." This statement caught her attention. Serenity dropped her jaw and stared at me with wide eyes for 3 whole seconds before saying, "I can't believe you're threatening to divorce me because of something so stupid. I'll pretend you didn't say that. I'm not going to stand here and listen to you and your hurt feelings. As soon as you're ready to apologize, let me know. I have to go to work." With that, she ended the conversation and left. Over the next few days, the relationship between us was pretty cold. After all, it was Serenity who apologized to me. I don't think she really felt regret. She just wanted the gap between us to end. I had to believe that she realized that her disrespectful attitude had driven a serious wedge between us. For the next couple of weeks, Serenity stopped fighting, and our marriage returned to normal. We kept it light and focused on our daily chores. When the relationship between us warmed up, we started having more intimate conversations again. In one of them, I mentioned that I don't like that she spends so much time with Lisa. I said that since they became good friends, I feel that Lisa's disrespect for me has a bad effect on me. What if I had a friend that you didn't like? I said. Someone who treats you badly and talks badly about you. Who would you have seen at work? How would you feel about that? She replied like this. Listen, Bill, Lisa and I get along great, and since we talked, I've been trying not to express my opinion, so don't try to tell me who I have the right to be friends with. But to answer your question, I wouldn't like it. But if he was your friend, I'd stay away from him. So your friendship with Lisa is more important than me? No, of course not, Serenity said. But I decide who I'm friends with. With that, she gave me a look that told me the conversation was over. A few more months passed, and I felt that my strength was running out. The little things Serenity was talking about bothered me more than they should have. Besides, when I was alone, I had internal conversations with myself. They all boiled down to how long I was willing to put up with Serenity's changing attitude towards me. On the one hand, I still love her. For the most part, she was still the same wonderful woman I had asked to marry me. But on the other hand, she seemed to think it was okay not to respect me. Ever since she became friends with Lisa, it seemed like the new game was to figure out how much disrespect I could endure. In the end, I decided that I wasn't going to throw away the last 7 years without being able to honestly say that I had done everything possible to save our marriage. And then the following happened. We live across the golf course from some of the best restaurants in Madison. I asked Serenity if she wanted to go on an evening date, and she was absolutely thrilled. I dressed in a casual but stylish style, a dress shirt, dress shorts with built-in underwear, and leather flip-flops. She put on what I call a flirty skirt and a beautiful top. We chose a nice place not far from home and went out for dinner and a little drink. Serenity drank more than usual and started making noise, so I suggested ending the evening and heading home. When we got to the car, the valet opened the door for her, and she thanked him. And then she added, "I wish my husband was a gentleman like you." I was instantly angry and, getting into the car, cursed her for it. Where did this come from? I'm always a gentleman. But instead of apologizing, we started arguing in the car. It got to the point where I slammed on the brakes, said I didn't want to stay in the car with her, kicked open the door, and walked home across the field. That's where things got bad. It was already dark, and I saw 3 suspicious guys drinking beer on one of the golf courses. I tried to walk on the other side of the path from them, but they shouted for me to come over. I lowered my head and picked up my pace. They jumped to their feet and started chasing me, and I ran. I heard that they were catching up with me, and, looking over my shoulder, I stumbled. They jumped on me and screamed, "Give me your watch and wallet." While I was fighting with them, my shirt was ripped off. While 2 guys were holding me down, the third one pulled the watch off my wrist. Then they tried to pull my wallet out of my pocket, but since it was zipped up, they had a hard time. The leader said, "Hurry up, it's time for us to leave." At that moment, 2 guys pulled off my pants along with my wallet and ran away. Now I was lying naked on the grass and vomiting. I picked up my flip-flops and tried to cover myself up. Looking around, I couldn't find my cell phone in the dark. I dusted myself off and, looking around to see if anyone had witnessed the robbery, saw that there was no one around. The scuffle left me with several cuts and abrasions on my knees. I got home, hiding behind the trees as best I could, and no one seemed to notice me. When I tried to open the back door, it was locked. I didn't want to go around the front of the house, so I knocked on the door, but not loud enough to wake up the neighbors. When it became clear that Serenity wasn't going to let me in, I lay down by the door and fell asleep. I woke up in the morning to Serenity standing over me and laughing, saying, "And why the hell are you sleeping on the back porch with only your flops covering your stuff? Where are your clothes?" "Well," I replied, "I was robbed on the golf course last night. And since you wouldn't let me in when I knocked on the door, I decided to wait until morning and try again." Serenity said, "When you left me in the middle of the street last night, I went home, turned on the fan in the bedroom, and went to bed. As you know, I was very drunk and therefore dead to the whole world. That's why I didn't hear you," she said with a smirk on her face. Obviously, she thought it was funny. I pushed past her and went into the house. Turning around, he said, "I see you think it's funny. But I don't. I could have been seriously hurt last night, and all you're doing is laughing at me. Fuck you." I'm so angry right now that I don't want to be around you. I spent the next hour canceling my credit cards, going online and requesting a new driver's license, and calling the police. A nice policewoman said that if I wanted to file a report, I needed to come to the station, but since there were no witnesses and it was still dark and I would not be able to accurately describe the robbers, this would most likely lead to nothing. I decided not to waste time. After I cleaned myself up and taped a few cuts, I went to the Apple store and bought a replacement for my iPhone. Thank God, everything was saved in the cloud. I spent the rest of the day working in the yard. When it was time for dinner, Serenity came out and asked me what I wanted for dinner. I just took one look at her and told her she could cook whatever she wanted. I immediately regretted attacking her and apologized. He said I needed a little more time to cool down, so let her just cook herself something to eat, and I'll go somewhere. I went to the local burger joint alone and was finally able to come to my senses. I really hoped Serenity would spend the evening thinking about why I was so angry and maybe even apologize to me. When I got home, I heard Serenity talking on the phone. What I heard nullified all my successes achieved after going to the restaurant. I was shocked. She told Lisa how she found me naked on the back porch, covering my private parts with only flip-flops. She laughed so hard that she even coughed. I didn't hear what Lisa said on the other end of the line, but I could only guess when Serenity answered. No, I didn't take a picture, but it would be so funny. I couldn't believe she had shared my embarrassing case with Lisa. I burst into the room and grabbed her phone. I threw it into the fireplace, and it shattered. Serenity, I can't believe you're sharing this with Lisa, I said. How can you be so disrespectful to me? Serenity jumped up and screamed. Bill, what the hell? Why did you smash my phone? You scared me. You're worried about your phone, I said, and you know that I was mad at you. And the first thing I found when I walked through the door was that you were disrespectful to me again. I can't believe it. Bill, you need to calm down, Serenity said. Now I have to buy a new phone. You know I can't work without him. I'm going to the Apple store, and I'm waiting for you to apologize when I get back. What the hell? 2 new phones in one day. With that, Serenity stormed out of the house. I sat down in the living room and stared at the walls. It's time to end this. After our last conversation, she should have realized that I'd had enough of disrespect. Maybe she just didn't care anymore. Am I overreacting? Is she deliberately trying to push me away for some reason? One thing is absolutely clear to me. Her friendship with Lisa is more important than her relationship with me. I decided that we need to have another serious conversation. I can't put up with it anymore. As I waited for Serenity to return from the Apple store, I wondered how I would like to have this conversation. On the one hand, I love Serenity and I want to stay married to her. On the other hand, if she thinks she can continue to treat me disrespectfully and that I will put up with it, then she is mistaken. I had to make it clear to her that she had to stop disrespecting, otherwise our marriage was over. I texted her that I'd like to talk to her when she gets home. By the time Serenity returned, I had calmed down, and so did she, it seems. She started the conversation like this. Your little tantrum cost us another $1,500. I have upgraded my phone to the latest model with a lot of memory. I replied, Serenity, I don't want to talk about phones. I need you to sit down and listen to what I have to say. Something has to change, and change forever. The disrespect with which you and Lisa treat me has driven a wedge between us. And if you don't take this seriously, I won't stay married to you. I'm losing more and more love for you every day. Very soon I won't have any feelings for you at all. Is this what you want? Ever since you became friends with Lisa, you've been treating me more and more disrespectfully. You have to learn to see it. Disrespectful attitude towards me is directly translated by my brain as you don't love me. If you loved me, you would respect me. I tried to be calm, but I was talking louder and louder. Okay, now it's your turn to talk. Bill, I probably didn't realize it was so important. You know, Lisa and I are best friends and we tell each other everything. She's not going to tell anyone else. I understand that if this gets out, it might put you in an awkward position, but I trust Lisa. She won't tell anyone else. I may have said things a few more times that you think are disrespectful. I feel like I respect you. I also understand that respect is more important for men than for women. I love you, and I don't want to get divorced. Listen, how about this? Let's agree to draw a line and start over. I'll do my best to show you more respect, but you should try not to be so sensitive. I will still be friends with Lisa, and we will talk about our lives with her. A good start, I thought. At her suggestion, my anger seemed to dissipate, and I said, I can live with that serenity. I don't want to get divorced either. 95% of the time, I like being with you. But please understand that your respect is very important to me. I will no longer tolerate being treated disrespectfully. And I'm not trying to threaten you, I said quietly. But I need you to understand how serious this is for me. Please listen to me. I will not stay in this marriage if I feel that I am not respected. I get it, Bill, Serenity said. I guess I didn't realize how much it affected you. I will try to improve. With these words, I opened my arms, and we embraced tenderly. We didn't say anything out loud, but each of us felt that a new beginning could be the solution to our problems. This conversation happened 2 weeks ago, and then something happened that, as they say, broke the camel's back. On Serenity's 30th birthday, we planned a short 3-day weekend at an all-inclusive resort in the Bahamas. We spent the first day lying by the pool, sipping drinks and relaxing. In the evening, we got dressed and went to one of the good restaurants, where live music and dancing began at 9 in the evening. As soon as the music started, we danced a few quick numbers, and then returned to the table to have a drink. While we were sipping drinks, a man half our age invited Serenity to dance without even looking in my direction. Also, without looking in my direction, Serenity accepted his hand, and they left. I just sat there, stunned that she had shown me such disrespect without even looking at me and asking if I minded her dancing with another man. When she returned to the table, she looked flushed and went to get a drink for herself. I don't know if she was flushed from dancing fast or from rubbing against a young man. Before I could tell her that I was uncomfortable, another man came up and asked her to dance. She agreed again, without even looking at me, and went to the dance floor. That's all. I wasn't going to sit at the table alone and look like a third wheel while she danced with every man here. I finished my drink, got up, and went to the resort casino. I spent the next hour playing blackjack alone and thinking. Eventually, a man came up to me and said Serenity was looking for me. I asked, why isn't she looking for me? Why did she send you? He replied, she sent several of us to look for you. I wanted to stay at the restaurant in case you came back. He says he doesn't want to miss you. I thanked him by shaking his hand and went back to the restaurant. When I entered the restaurant, I stopped, unable to believe what I was seeing. My wife is kissing some guy, and there's a queue of 6 men behind him. When the not-too-short kiss was over, he said, "Happy birthday." Everyone applauded, and the next guy moved in for a kiss. It was obvious that she was really enjoying herself. I took out my phone and started writing it down. If we get divorced, I don't want her to be able to say that I'm overreacting. After 2 more happy birthday kisses, I went up to her, took her by the hand, and pulled her away from the queue. "The party's over, guys," I said, dragging her to the door. On the way out, she half turned to the guys and said, "Thank you for making my birthday unforgettable, guys," and waved her hand slightly. The guys made a noise, shouted and told her to come tomorrow night, and they would arrange her birthday again. To this she replied, "Maybe I will come." I was so angry that I couldn't even speak. When we walked away from the restaurant, she told me to let go of her hand because it hurt. I let go of her hand and continued walking towards our room. She was lagging behind, but I didn't slow down. She shouted, "Hey, slow down, Bill. I'm a little drunk and I can't keep up with you." By this time I had reached the room, opened the lock, and entered. The door slammed behind me before Serenity could enter. I was so angry that I blushed. I went to the bathroom to spray water on my face and try to get my breathing under control. I heard Serenity banging on the door, so I went and opened it. Serenity screamed, "What the hell, Bill? Did you drag me out of a restaurant where I was having a good time, brought me to a room, and left me in the hallway without a key? Are you trying to ruin my evening? Because of this behavior, I want to go back to dancing. At least I had fun there." I looked at her as if she had grown a second head. She was puffing and glaring at me. I said, "If you don't understand why I'm so mad at you, then it's over between us. After our conversation just 2 weeks ago about a new beginning, you're being disrespectful to me like this." "Oh, fuck off," Serenity said. So I had a few dances, and when the guys found out that it was my birthday, everyone wanted to kiss me. Nothing special. Why are you so angry? I didn't make love to any of them. First of all, you didn't ask me if I was okay with you dancing with other men, and the kisses I saw weren't easy, I said, and if you think that's how married women behave and that you haven't done anything wrong, then maybe you should come back. But know this, if you do, I won't be here when you get back. This made her very angry. She looked me straight in the eye and screamed, I can't believe it. It's my 30th birthday, and I was having a great time, and then you come along and ruin everything. If you're going to lose your temper and act like a little kid, then do whatever you want. I'm not going to let you ruin my evening. See you later. With that, she grabbed her purse, turned on her heel, and stormed out of the room. I stood stunned. I couldn't believe it. Well, I probably could because all this has been going on for a long time. We were supposed to have a good weekend together, but after a few drinks, she started treating me disrespectfully again. For some reason, I decided that I could dance with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and then I started giving kisses. And to top it all off, she called me a little kid. Well, I've had enough. I've had enough. We broke up. The marriage is over. I'm not going to be disrespected anymore. She doesn't have a chance anymore. I sat down on the bed, and it seemed to me that I had a huge hole in my stomach. I felt dizzy and could hear the blood pulsing in my temples. I knew that my 7-year marriage had just ended. An overwhelming sadness gripped me. I haven't cried in years, but I found that I couldn't stop the tears, and they were running down my face. After what seemed like an eternity, I went to the bathroom and splashed water on my face again. I decided that now is the right time to move on with my life. As I realized this, a strange calm descended on me. It's like a huge weight has been lifted from my shoulders. Therefore, without hesitation, I packed all my things, left the room key on the bedside table, and went to check out. I thought about leaving a note, but why? I told her that if she left, I wouldn't be here when she returned. If she thinks I'm bluffing, then I'm not. I went to the front desk and said that I was checking out, but that my wife was staying in the room. I asked them to deregister my name and change my credit card from mine to my wife's card. I went to the reception desk and took a taxi to the airport. At the airport, I bought a ticket for an overnight flight to Madison. I had to wait 3 hours at the airport, so I sat down at the bar and drank a few beers, thinking about how this little vacation went down the drain. I don't know if Serenity tried to call me or not because I turned off the phone. As soon as I landed in Madison, I turned on my phone, and it immediately started to explode. Apparently, Serenity had returned to the room at some point and was now wondering where I was. The first message said she was going to the casino to look for me. In the next few messages, she called me a little kid again and was angry that she couldn't find me. Then she moved on to worrying that I might be passed out drunk somewhere. At the end of each message, she said that I'd better call her. At some point, she must have realized that all my things were missing. The next few messages were her pleas for me to come back. In the last message, she was crying and saying that she was very sorry and she desperately needed me to call her. She kept texting and leaving voicemails on her phone all day Saturday, begging me to at least let her know that I was still in the Bahamas. In the last message, she quietly said that she hoped to see me at the airport on Sunday morning so that we could fly home together. It was already Saturday afternoon when I got home, and since I hadn't slept at all last night, I got into bed and fell asleep quickly. When I woke up, it was already dark and I was hungry. I went to the kitchen, made myself a sandwich, and took a bag of Cheetos. After looking at the phone, I received a few more messages, but I just deleted them without listening. Despite the circumstances, I felt pretty calm. I knew that the next couple of months would be emotionally difficult, but I also knew that it would be better for me if I got divorced. This realization improved my mood, and for the first time since the dancing incident, a smile appeared on my face. I had my own company, which I love, so financially everything will be fine. She has a high-paying job, and judging by the salary and tax certificate, she earns more than me. We don't have children yet, but our house has solid capital because I built it myself, which allowed us to save money. I went online and did all the usual things. I took half of the balance from our shared checking and savings accounts and put them into my personal account. We don't have joint credit cards or investment accounts, so there's nothing more to share. I went online and made an appointment with a divorce lawyer for Monday afternoon. Then I sent an SMS to my staff and informed them that I needed them all to be in the office at 7 a.m. on Monday for an urgent meeting. Having done that, I started to pack my things and put them in black plastic bags in the garage. Most of my tools and men's things were in my workshop, so mostly there were clothes, electronics, and important documents. A little after 10 o'clock in the evening, I did a good job packing my things, so I decided that was enough for today, sat down in my upholstered chair, and opened a beer. I finished packing on Sunday, and by early evening, Serenity came into the house with her suitcases in tow, looking completely upset. I was sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee, looking through the contract with the church. According to the contract, I had only a week left before the final drawings would be signed and sealed. As soon as this is done, I will deliver them to the church, receive the final payment for the project, and terminate the contract. Serenity sat down across from me and put her hands on the table. She seemed to be crying. Once upon a time, I would have felt terrible and would have done everything possible to make her feel better. But now I sat silently and looked at her without any expression. "Bill, why did you leave me in the Bahamas?" That was her first sentence. I just looked at her and didn't say anything. She continued, "Do you know how angry you made me? I never thought you were capable of such a trick." I felt like this abandoned. I sat silently and looked at her. "You don't want to say anything? What can I say?" I replied, "You've been disrespectful to me again. I told you that if you go back to the dance, I won't be here when you get back. You're gone." I left. "But I was mad at you for trying to ruin my evening," she said. "I still can't believe that you left me in another country. What if something had happened to me? Well, you're a big girl. I'm sure if you needed anything, you could ask any of the guys you dance with for help. I was willing to bet money that you would start this conversation by apologizing to me. But it seems to me that you don't believe that you did something wrong. You never asked me if I was okay with you dancing with other guys. Didn't look for me when I got upset and left, sending some guy I was dancing with to find me. And when I came back, I found you kissing another man with a hole to cue. Serenity, I've had enough. From now on, do whatever you want. You can dance and kiss whoever you want. You can disrespect anyone you want. You can be Lisa's girlfriend. I'm just not going to be here anymore." Serenity burst into tears at these words. "You can't think like that. It's just that your feelings are hurt, and now you're trying to punish me. All day on Saturday and Sunday morning I was looking for you until it was time to fly home. I was so worried that you got drunk somewhere at the resort. Or maybe you've been robbed again. I haven't eaten or slept since you left. I'm going to eat, take a shower, and go to bed. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm overwhelmed with emotions right now. I was just having fun on my birthday and probably had too much to drink." She got up, went to the refrigerator, took out a yogurt and one of the fruit salads that she always had on hand, and headed to the bedroom. Less than a minute later, she returned to the kitchen and asked, "Where are all your things?" "I packed them all," I replied. "Serenity, I will not tolerate this kind of treatment anymore. We've talked about this many times, but you continue to disrespect me. I got hope when you offered me a fresh start, but you killed her in the Bahamas. So I have an appointment with a divorce lawyer tomorrow afternoon, and you and I will go our separate ways." She looked at me silently and shook her head in denial. Then she frowned, looked at me as if she was talking to a child, and said, "We won't get divorced, don't say that, we'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm going to sleep." At 7 a.m., all the guys were waiting for me at the negotiating table. I thanked them for coming, did not go into all the personal reasons, but said that I had decided to cancel the church project. "We will receive the final payment for the design part, but we will terminate the contract before we start construction." My lead foreman spoke on behalf of the group. "Boss, I think it's the right decision. We have a lot of work to do. Last week, I talked with the team about how we should try to build a new church when we still have a lot of other work to do. So I don't mind. Does anyone have a different opinion?" No one else spoke out. Then I thanked them for coming and told them to get to work. It made them all laugh. Even though I was the boss, they didn't need to be told to get to work. I can stay away from work for a whole month, and everything is going smoothly. I have a great team. I called my lawyer and asked him to write a legal letter to the church stating that Bill Johnson Construction had taken advantage of our clause in the termination agreement. He asked when I wanted the registered letter to be delivered, and I asked him to hold it for a week and then deliver it. I knew that when they got it, there would be a lot of hype, but it would all be next week. I emailed the bill for the final draft to the church and asked that it be paid on Friday when I deliver the drawings with the seals. After lunch, I went to a divorce lawyer and told her that I wanted a simple divorce based on irreconcilable differences. Divide the house and money 50 to 50. I keep my truck, she keeps her car. Both have been paid for. I keep my company, and Serenity keeps her salary. No alimony. I didn't need anything from home except what I had already collected. She could take all the furniture and things. She chose everything anyway. The lawyer said that my wife could try to get half of my company, but since I gave her all the property, the fact that I did not pay 100% of the loan to my father will certainly be disputed, but perhaps she will get good advice when her lawyer reads the contract and will not fight it. She didn't even ask me why I wanted a divorce. She just kept typing and said she could have it ready in a day or two. Where did I want her to be served? I told her to be served at our house after 6 o'clock on Tuesday evening, by which time Serenity was always at home. Besides, I knew that Lisa always came to us on Tuesdays. This should add to the fun. That done, I returned to the house and loaded up all the packages I had stowed in the garage. Many years ago, I built an apartment above the workshop so that I could spend the night there when I had to stay late. So, the move was not difficult. After unpacking my things in the apartment, I returned to the house to wait for Serenity to return home. She had no idea that our conversation would not go the way she thought it would. When I pulled up to the house, Serenity's car was already in the garage. I decided to park on the street and slip in the back door. I didn't have any special reasons for this, but the idea turned out to be a good one. Our back door opens onto the kitchen, and I could hear Serenity talking on the phone in the living room, which is at the front of the house. She was talking to Lisa, and that's what I heard. Lisa, I just don't know what came over him. He left me alone in the restaurant and went to the casino. I had to send some guys I know to find him. And then he left me in the Bahamas and flew home. He didn't answer any of my calls. I was so angry. I've already told you everything else. I danced with a few guys after dancing with Bill, and then a couple of them kissed me with the words, "Happy birthday." That's all. Nothing else. I'm not lying. I don't know why he's making such a fuss about it, continuing to claim that I don't respect him. No, he didn't apologize and even threatened to divorce me. Yes, I know. He's acting like a big kid. It's nice to know that you're on the same wavelength as me. I needed to make a phone call to check if I was thinking correctly. Thanks, we'll talk later. Bill will be home soon. Wow. At these words, I entered the living room. Big kid, huh? I said. Well, this big kid won't put up with your or Lisa's disrespect anymore. You and that fool can go wherever you want. For some reason, you both think it's okay to treat me without respect. But it's not. You killed all the love that I once felt for you. Maybe someday you'll realize that I have feelings too. And if you try to present everything differently than the absolute truth, then I shot a video of you kissing several guys in the Bahamas. If I hear you telling your parents or friends that I overreacted, I'll send a video and let them decide for themselves. With that, I walked out the front door, hearing Serenity calling after me. Bill, wait, I want to talk to you. I just waved her off, got into my truck, and drove away. Serenity kept calling, but I didn't pick up the phone. She even showed up at the office, but I refused to talk to her. Lisa tried to call me on Tuesday evening after Serenity was served. I listened to her message saying that Lisa was falling apart and I needed to stop the divorce and come talk to her. That I'm being childish. Lisa also said that it was pretty dirty of me to serve Serenity when she was around. It made me smile. A week later, my lawyer called me and said that the church was very upset and wanted to hold a meeting to discuss why I was canceling the construction contract. They said that, in their opinion, everything was going very well. Everyone liked my plans, and they were looking forward to the start of construction. I replied that I was not obliged to explain to them the reason for the cancellation and did not want to meet with them. I asked her to please settle this for me, and if we end up in court, then so be it. I also said that if they really need to know the reason, then they should talk to the pastor's wife. She knows the reason. She told me she would take care of it. That evening, I received the first call in my life from Tom Stinson. I thought it would be a good idea to talk to him, and I answered. Within an hour, I explained to him that his wife had disrespected me many times, that I was not going to change my mind. I even told him the FaceTime story. I decided that even though it was none of my business, I wanted to know if Lisa was treating him with the same disrespect. This infuriated Tom, and he instantly flew into a rage. Tom explained that at the very beginning of their relationship, She tried to do the same to him, but he quickly stopped it and did not know that now she treats others like this. He told her how she began to disrespect him, making remarks and teasing even when they were barely engaged. It got to the point that he canceled the wedding, which caused a huge scandal in her family. Eventually, they got back together, and he insisted on premarital counseling. He made sure that the consultant told her in detail how she should respect him. Otherwise, the marriage would be doomed from the very beginning. At one point, Tom asked if I would change my mind about canceling the contract if he removed his wife from all duties at the church. I thanked him for the offer, but said that she was his wife and that I couldn't ask him to do that. It's not going to work, and that's what I've decided. I'm leaving. In the end, we ended the conversation cordially, but I could see that he was angry. It's been almost 2 weeks since I left, and Serenity has been trying to call me several times every day. I didn't want to talk to her, so I just sent all the calls to voicemail. I listened to several of them, but the meaning was the same. I'm sorry, she said over and over again and cried a lot. Somehow, within a month of submitting the application, we were assigned the first court date and ordered to attend 6 consultations. I went to each of them, listened, but didn't say anything. Serenity was like a jammed record. She constantly asked for forgiveness and said that she would do anything to get me home. The counselor did her best to make Serenity understand how she ruined our relationship with her disrespect for me. But I don't think she really understood that. Her next strategy was to delay the divorce by having her lawyer take over my company. But we were ready for it. When the judge saw the documents proving that the company was still owned by my father, and I was just an employee until the debt was paid off, he ruled in my favor. Outside of court hearings and consultations, I have never spoken to Serenity. To be honest with myself, I knew I was still mad at her. Serenity kept calling. I answered about every 5th call and listened to her talk about how she loved me and wanted to find a way to be together again. Then I quietly told her that I wasn't going to give her another chance and hung up. Finally, I got tired of it and I said, Serenity, each of us decides for himself who to love. Just because you say you love me and swear you've changed doesn't mean I have to give you another chance. I don't love you anymore. Your last prank in the Bahamas killed all the love I have left. Please stop calling me and move on. I hope you learn a lesson from this. I don't want to give you any more chances. Sign the divorce and let's get this over with. Serenity cried and cried on the phone until I finally just hung up. The following week, my lawyer informed me that she had signed the papers and in 90 days I would be a free man. I didn't blame Serenity so much as Lisa for our breakup, and I wanted to get back at her a little bit, so I developed a plan that wouldn't get me into trouble with the law, but would cause her some pain. I called all the contractors who could undertake the project of a new church more than 100 miles away and asked them not to participate in the tender. Through AGC, Association of General Contractors of America, I knew all the other owners, and all but one were happy to help me when I explained the situation. So, I sent a certified letter from my lawyer saying that if they use the drawings I created, we will sue them. When they called me to find out what my reasons were, I sent them a copy of the contract I had signed with the church and highlighted a clause that clearly stated that Bill Johnson Construction had legal ownership of all plans and engineering developments until final payment was made upon completion. Since there is no construction, the drawings still belong to me. This was enough to keep them out of the tender. When people in the church found out that no one else would participate in the tender for their project, church members started asking questions, and part of the truth about how Lisa treated me came out. Others complained that she treated them the same way. Attendance began to fall, and donations declined sharply. It turned out that people don't want to go to church where the pastor's wife is a bitch. This started a downward spiral, and after a few months the church began to have serious financial problems. Consider it a pettiness, but as revenge, I decided to continue attending church. Every week I tried to get close enough to Lisa so that she could see me. I always had a big smile on my face. If looks could kill, her looks would have already killed me 100 times. She obviously didn't like that I was still coming here, but what could she do about it? She can't kick me out. Besides, I have a lot of friends in the church, and although I never went out of my way to throw dirt on Lisa, if I was asked, I honestly told her how she treats me. Through my friends, I found out that Tom and Lisa had problems in their marriage. Tom made inquiries and found out that what I said about Lisa during our phone conversation was not uncommon. I think he wasn't going to let her off the hook, like he did during their engagement. A few more weeks passed, and I was told that Lisa and Tom had a big fight in front of many church members when he saw how disrespectfully Lisa treated one of the men. After that, Lisa went to her parents for a while. If you thought you felt terrible, then no. That's the story of how my marriage ended. As far as I know, Serenity still lives in the city. I don't try to avoid her, but we don't cross paths. Friends at the church tell me that she is not dating anyone and still hopes to get back together with me. Huh, what else? Lisa never returned, and Tom filed for divorce. I've heard he's popular with unmarried ladies in the church, but he's made it clear that he's not going into a new relationship yet. Since Lisa left, the church has started to gain attendance again. She may need an extension soon. Since I already have the blueprints, and Tom and I get along great, I'm willing to bet that someday I will build this church. It's been a year now, and I've built myself a new house. It's bigger and better than before. He definitely needs a feminine approach and several children. I think I'm ready to start dating again. Respect is very important for men. Let this be a lesson. I'll say it again. Respect is very important for men. Treat your man with respect, and he will love you forever. Huh, maybe I'm a little more moral than I thought.